Sure, not work or need reformatting.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Welcome back to EBF. How lovely. Even though we are quite severely depleted in numbers today, it's impacted by sickness and obviously half term, but it's fantastic to see everybody, so thank you very much. For those who don't already know, Aidan has succumbed to COVID, which is why he's not here doing this bit now. Or he's got it. He's got it. Yeah, no, he hasn't. No, sorry. It is early. It is early, and I don't know what it is. No, he's all right. Sorry.
Brain is just softly. So we're looking for a new chair.
That's for the blog, surely. Yeah.
Tell him that.
Aidan has. Yeah. Right. So.
Write that down.
Let me introduce the rest of my leadership team, if you would be so kind, folks.
I can't remember what I do now, I'm really sorry, it's been so long. Hang on, give us a sec.
American
Oh yeah, I chair the membership committee, and I'm also the official timekeeper. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Terry, I'm dealing with membership and recruitment. That's what I do.
It's very warm in there.
Morning, Paul standing in for Ben as Education Coordinator, hopefully just for today, but we'll see.
And another notice is Brian, who is our Social Secretary, is well, he can't be with us today. He has had I'll pass it on verbatim, a non-alcohol related fall. He's chipped his shoulder, he can't lift his arm at the moment, so he can't drive, but he's okay. Just
We sit down now.
You may sit down.
It's a blessing, isn't it? Brian,
So,
Thank you, mate.
the next part of the meeting is where I hand over to that handsome membership secretary to do the Performance League, which is on my desk, so I can't do that. But I can reliably inform you that those people roughly close to the top are Terry, Paul and myself, and James, I believe.
I will take it, I don't trust it.
Take it. But it's been a fairly quiet week or so, so just, again, don't forget to record your statistics as you've got them. Let me sit down. Just stand up. We're going to do 90 seconds today instead of 60. So we'll move into that part of the meeting fairly quick and easy. I won the Oscar last week.
Where is it?
I'm so bad, I can apologise. I was 3/4 of the way here at 4 in the morning and I went, oh poops, I've left the Oscar at home.
Should have gone back. Should have gone back, mate.
That's okay.
Breakfast, sorry. I will have it here next week. I'm really sorry.
Have we not got rid of the blue box?
We've just got another one in the office, we've got a spare one as well, so don't worry.
Yeah, don't
Put that in
worry.
the box
It's
going
not the end of the world.
Sorry.
It's all right. Minus 50 points. So 90 seconds. Just because we're smaller in numbers today, we'll put a spin on it, and I'm going to start, and I will nominate someone at the end of my 60 seconds. And then, as that person has spoken, they will nominate somebody. So you've got to be switched on and remember who's spoken and who hasn't spoken. And we'll see where we go. Vince is going to be our timekeeper today, 90 seconds. I would do that first, shall we?
You're making it up.
I'm making it up as I go along.
So you can't just cut Paul out entirely.
Let's pause for a moment and let's hand across our education coordinator.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, I've got away with that then, but sorry to have to read this out. This is straight from Ben, so this is really Ben's education slot, but it's a very good one. So, dear all, as we're now back in physical meetings, here's some tips to help you get the most out of the meeting and your membership. Use a systematic approach to the meetings during the open networking before the meeting starts. Make a plan on who you'd like to speak to. That might be as you have a possible referral for them, or you'd like to know something in more detail about a member or someone you'd like to book a one-to-one with. When it comes to the 60-second round, Make sure you are prepared and planned and know what you're going to say. Don't leave it till the round starts. Big no, no, no. This will give you a chance to re-listen to other members and also listen out for possible referrals rather than just working out on your own 60 seconds because you haven't prepared properly. Make notes on other members' presentations if you want to. This is a chance to help your fellow members. Do the same for the 10-minute speaker. And when it's your turn to do a 10 minutes, remember that it's your chance to showcase your business further. You could do the 6 W's: who, why, where, when, what, and how, with how with a big W at the end of it. Who you are, where you cover, when your business started, why you started your business, what do you offer people, and how can you help people. This all helps to build trust. Always try to be a high performer in the referral round. Whether that's referrals given, one-to-ones, written testimonials, or thank you for the monies. This all helps build strong relationships and that builds that trust. So always plan your meetings. That way not only will you enjoy it, but also help others to refer you to. Remember, fail to plan and to fail. Thank you.
Okay, let's move into the 60-90 second round, shall we? And I'll begin. I think we can probably informally stay seated.
No.
Today, you want us to stand, yeah?
Bit of discipline.
So good morning, folks. Scott from SEO. I thought I'd take a few seconds this morning and explain in a bit more detail the email services that I provide and how they work. So as a Google reseller, Google partner, I resell their Gmail product on a business level. So it's the same product backed by the same security and the technology. You use the Gmail app, you use the Google Calendars app, etc. But it goes up a grade, it's business mode, and everything can then be branded as your business. So when you buy a license for this product, it's called Google Workspace. Yes, you get the inbox. You get 30 gig of storage in the Google Drive space, so you can share all of your documents in the cloud. You get access to the Google suite of office tools, so Excel and Word and all of those things, so you can create and craft and store your documents in the cloud. And it's all collaborative, so where some of my clients may have 2, 5 or 10 licenses, 2 or 3 people can be editing the same Word document at the same time, or the same spreadsheet, and working via remote and doing those things. It's a fantastic suite of tools. A license for that is £70 for the year for the first one, and £50 per license after if you want secure, awesome email and related services. Give us a shout. Scott at SEO, thank you. And I'm going to nominate Nick Cook.
Thank you, Scott. I have one prepared, which works out well, doesn't it? Well, good morning, everyone. As you know, I'm Nick. I'm a structural engineer. I've mentioned in many 60 seconds over the last few years that most of my work is focused on residential property. People want to alter their house in some way. They want to remove a wall. They want to take out a chimney breast. And I have to design steel beams and posts and things like that. But I do other stuff as well. I provide the structural input for side extensions, rear extensions, loft conversions and the like. And when I get an inquiry from someone who wants to do something other than just take a wall down, I will ask them, well, have you got any drawings prepared? Sometimes they'll say, yes, I've got an architect's just prepared some planning drawings. So that helps me enormously. But if they haven't, then I'll say, well, you need some drawings. And I'll recommend Kieran, our architect. As with all the small jobs, all these big jobs require steel beams, steel columns, reinforced concrete floor beams, concrete foundations. So that's what I do. If you know anyone who needs any structural alterations carried out to their houses, they're recommended to me. That's Nick Cook, Building Solutions to all structural problems. Thank you. Colin, you're next.
Thank you. So I'm Colin O'Connor. My company is Blue Planet Consulting, and we provide health and safety advice and training. And we work with big companies, we work with small companies, we do one-day jobs, and I have projects that run for 2 or 3 years. So, there's a big broad spread there, and we mainly work in sort of London and the South East, but we have done jobs all over the country. Depends what our client wants. And today I'm going to talk about magic. Does anybody believe in magic? Lots of magic in health and safety. And the first thing we have with health and safety is a magic number. The magic number is 5. If you have more than 5 employees, then your health and safety processes, procedures needs to be written down. The law says you have to have these things. If you've got more than 5 employees, you have to write it down. And the starting point for any health and safety is the health and safety policy. Every employer needs to have a health and safety policy. And guess what? If you've got more than 5 employees, you need to write it down. And this is what we do. We provide health and safety policies for companies. People get off the internet. Generally, they're rubbish. We do about one a fortnight. We do 26 a year. So that's me, Colin O'Connor, Blue Planet, magic. And I'm going to nominate...
I avoided it and then I looked back.
Morning everybody, Toby, personal business mentor and trainer. I was going to talk about something completely different this morning, but because it's a sort of change of direction, a new thing, new qualification, I'm going to leave it till there's a few more people around, so we're doing it twice. So what I'm going to talk about actually is came from a conversation we're having here about how much should you charge, and basically as much as you can get away with. And there's questions to ask yourself, what value are you going to bring? What difference are you going to make to their bottom line? What's the size of the problem that they've got? Another important question is how deep are their pockets? So ask people what's their budget. You want to know where you stand, and then there's not an issue of bill shock of them getting your proposal. It's like, oh my god, can't possibly afford this. So what are the benefits you're going to bring? What are the outcomes that they're seeking? What difference is that going to make to the bottom line? We're having a conversation here that if you charge too little, sometimes you're not taken seriously, particularly with large companies, the corporates. So don't undervalue yourself. Don't just try to undercut the competition, because otherwise it's a race to the bottom. So it's just about I think the 2 most important things are what is the size of the problem and how deep are their pockets. So I think it's a good philosophy when you're looking at your pricing. How much can you get away with, basically? How much value do you bring?
Nominate.
So you taking any notes then?
I was just processing the important bit actually right now, to be honest.
You're next anyway.
Alright, so I have to give myself a reminder note in a minute. Good morning everyone, Neil from in any event. I'll be that bit early this morning. And Chili Republic, of course, the famous Chili Republic. So this week in any event catering, I've done Sweet FA. A couple of lines. Lots of work on the computer, and it's that time of the year where we're all about menus. So it's all about making sure those creative juices are flowing. We get new menu ideas in, things that we picked up around the world really for the last sort of 12 months. We now incorporate into the menu to stay ahead of the trend, ahead of the game. We're very much incorporating ourselves as corporate caterers this year, something we're heavily focusing on. So we are looking for as many referrals as possible for those corporate events. The bigger the better, the bigger the pockets they've got, the bigger the problem they've got. We welcome it because we can charge more. Thank you very much. That's Neil at Any Event Catering. Hope you enjoyed breakfast and see you next week.
And you're going to nominate?
Oh, and of course I'm going to nominate Mike. See you. I've got more than one mic today.
I was going to say, I had a quick look around there. My sole mic today, Morning everyone, lovely to be back again. Thought I'd go back to basics for a return to real life and just run through what I offer at Blackwater Media. So the bulk of my work is creating video content for businesses. This covers full business overviews and walkthroughs, footage of events and products, interviews with employees and customers, training videos and educational content, and creative content such as lifestyle adverts and even music videos and that sort of thing. But I also offer a variety of complementary services such as editing clients' own footage, photography for businesses and events, drone photography, videography and aerial surveys. And as mentioned last week, I now work closely with a partner who offers YouTube management, and between us we can advise on and help manage various social media outlets. So for any creative content needs, or if you've got any questions about any of the services I mentioned, or any others I might be able to help with, please let me know. That's Mike at Blackwater Media. And I'm going to nominate Paul, because he looks busy.
I was just writing the 6 seconds. Good morning, everyone. Paul DeLue, Red Vine Limited. We're a communications agency. A bit like Mike, I'm just going to refresh people about what I do on a day-to-day basis. But actually, the sort of stuff I'm doing with people in this room. So, obviously, I write blogs. I'm writing a blog for Terry at the moment about landlord and tenancy stuff to make sure his website is nice and fresh and nice and up to date, so that people visiting it get relevant information about that's about what things that are going on now. I'm working with Mike, sitting down with him later on to work out some questions to ask during some videoing he's doing and editing scripts and so forth, to make sure that when Mike goes to do his job for a client, he comes away with the stuff that I can then use to do what I need to do for the client. I write web copy, so I'm writing stuff with Scott at the moment for a client, just changing wording slightly on the website, firstly to make it much more interesting and much more relevant to what the client does, but also to make it much more search engine optimised in what it's saying. And I also write branding sort of stuff. So I've written stuff for Neil on Chili Republic about the whole ethos behind the business, for the website, for the labelling and so forth. I also work with Matt and his team, writing copy for projects and potential clients of theirs. So I don't just write blogs. I do lots of different things. If you want a hand, you need some advice on marketing, communications, or how to position your business, please give me a call. Paul DeLue, Red Vine Limited.
And you're going to nominate?
Oh, I will nominate. Who's not paying attention? Tina.
I'll just write the name down on this, right? You got that?
Yep.
Right. Good morning, everybody. My name's Tina. My company's called Liberty Executive Services. I offer a secretarial and admin service, either in the office or on virtual in my office. What I do as well is help companies or one-man bands that want to take their clients out for the day. They just say what they want to do, like clay pigeon shooting, go-karting, or going somewhere just for playing golf or team building. That is where I can look out for the locations for them, where they can all drive together, so there's no one on top of the venue, and I stay with them all day, helping to make sure everything runs smoothly. So if you know anybody that would like to take their team out or their clients out for the day but haven't got time to do it themselves, please pass on my details and I'll be happy to help. So that's me, Tina, Liberty Executive Services. I'm not a 9 to 5, I'm start to finish, and an extra pair of hands. Hey.
Tina, do you do that for people's kids as well?
I've never done it, but let's put it this way. It was my nephew's wife's birthday yesterday, sorry, just briefly, and I said, oh, I'll pop up with your present. So she said, could you make it before 1 o'clock, because I'm going to have a room full of kids. So I said, oh, I'll be there in 5 minutes. So there you go.
Who are you nominating?
Terry.
Terry.
Very much. Good morning, everybody. Terry Malin from TM Law Solicitors. I do all sorts of litigation work. Just I'll give you one example today of what I'm doing, and it ties in with what Paul and I are doing with the blog. So I have a client who's a landlord, only a small landlord, a few properties, and he used some letting agents in Raleigh who should remain nameless, but you'll see them in the paper shortly. And they were managing his property for quite a long time, a few years, and the tenant was in arrears and then out of arrears and in arrears. So he got them to serve a notice on the tenant, which they did. And the notice, because of COVID, they had to give 6 months' notice. And after the 6 months ran out, there were substantial arrears by then, and a couple of more months went by when they instructed solicitors. The solicitors, unfortunately, they weren't me, looked at the notice and told my client that unfortunately the letting agents had got the notice wrong. It was invalid. So the whole of what was now 9 months had been wasted, no rent for 9 months, and they had to start again. So the solicitors served a new notice, which was 3 months at the time, and so by now you can imagine my client has now had no rent for 12 months. So we are bringing a claim against the letting agents for substantial arrears, negligence and all the aggravation and costs that he's incurred. He's now got his property back, no thanks to the letting agents. So as well as the landlord and tenant law that I do, I'm also suing the agents for negligence. And that's one of the things I do at TM Law. Thank you. And I nominate Melissa, who's hiding up in the corner.
Thank you. Good morning all. Melissa Jackson, Kenway Francis, assisting companies and individuals in financial distress. At Kenway Francis, we offer a free initial consultation to people who are looking for help with their business finances and want to explore their options or understand how they might be able to resolve a difficult financial situation. First steps are usually, when dealing with the client, are to review the assets and liabilities, review their cash flow forecast, and help the client to speak with suppliers or a landlord about extending payment terms. We then advise them on how to speak to their bank and conversations with HMRC. Following that, we prepare a business plan and options going forward. Usually there is little time to put a rescue plan in place, so we urge directors to speak to us early so that we can deal with as many options for them as possible. So that's Kenway Francis, experts in insolvency, and so I encourage business owners to speak to us early.
And your nomination?
I nominate Paul.
Thank you. Morning, Paul Booth from Booth & Co. Chartered Certified Accountants based in Brentwood. Something we do from time to time is share reorganisations. So typically it might be where there's just one class of share capital, ordinary shares, and you've got different owners, but they all want to be paid differing amounts of dividends. You've only got one class of share capital, they have to be paid pro rata, which makes it very difficult. So what we do is arrange to set up different outback shares so that differing dividends can be paid. We need to look at things like articles of association, do everything above board, get all the paperwork done, and that can then help them save quite big national insurance liabilities. Something we also did recently, which we'd never done before, I'd never really come across it, was had a call from a potential client. They needed an accountant to help them make a return to the Office of the Public Guardian. Oh. I didn't know what that was, so I spoke to Aidan, and he wasn't sure either, but I actually looked into it, and it's for someone who hadn't got a power of attorney, and someone close to them, such as a mother or father, goes into care. There needs to be a return made to the Office of the Public Guardian. We did all that for them. It was all done online, and the Office of the Public Guardian came back to us and everything was fine. So a little thing we had to do on the hoof, which we didn't know about. Paul Booth, Booth & Co, minimise tax, maximise wealth.
And you're going to nominate?
I'm going to nominate Will, please.
Morning guys, so William Werner, a commercial finance specialist. I've got two companies and I've got a consultancy, and it works on just my gravitas and my clout after being around for 35 years in the finance business, I could say. So what I do, commercial financing, if you guys needed to expand your business, I can get you a business loan. If you want cash flow problems, I can get you a loan, personal loan. If you have want to rent, you're renting your office and you think, well, am I renting my office? Which I would say, buy it, commercial mortgage. If you need equipment, pharmaceutical doctors and all these guys, dentists and all the very expensive equipment, I can get that on asset finance. If you're owed money from invoices and it's long standing with the big lumpy numbers, I can get you invoice finance. So you take a small discount, but get you money immediately. If you want to refurb your house, Nick was referring to, then obviously I can get you a refurbished loan. If you want to buy land to develop, I can get you a development loan. New businesses, I can get you a business plan to go to a lender to get you that type of projections, go into a lender's requirements that get you that loan. So that's basically what I do. The other side of myself is that I'm looking now as a consultant basis to look for people who are looking to invest in property in any way, shape or form, right across the curve. And I've got a company I call is Castle Now. You'll start to get to know it. But there's a beautiful, handsome man. Second page, I think. of a whole history. Oh no, it's the first page. I need this out. So there you are. I've got a profile picture in and the owner of the business. So you want to hear about it, come and talk to me. William Werner, Commercial Finance Specialist. Thank you.
And your nomination, Will?
I can't think of someone. It's Alison. Sorry,
So, good morning, everybody. I haven't been around for the last couple of weeks, which I apologise about. We have been extremely busy, and one thing as counsellors, we really need to have our own self-care, so really been looking after myself. We've had a constant stream of clients from all our schools, corporate companies, and I think I mentioned before Christmas that we've actually taken on this contract with Kent and Essex Police. So a lot of the work that we're doing is high-end trauma-based work. PTSD, severe depression, chronic trauma-related issues that a lot of the police officers may have. So some of the work that we're doing is we're really enhancing the work with trauma-based CBT, and we're actually introducing some mindfulness-based work as well with police officers, which is really interesting because they're really engaging in the work. I have a really new, I was just saying to Will earlier, I have got a real new respect for what the police actually do. I don't know if anybody knows any police officers. I think they get a really, really bad press. And actually the stories that I'm hearing, the things that they are actually going and seeing on a day-to-day basis is absolutely, nobody in this room, unless you've done that kind of job, we don't experience that kind of thing. So I feel really privileged that I'm working with these clients, and I look forward to being able to share some more of the work that I'm doing over the next few months. So that's Alison Bean, Unique Minds Counselling, supporting those who have an emotional or mental health issue.
And your nomination?
My nomination is going to be the beautiful Vince.
Well, as he's not here, Vince will do it.
Can't disagree with that, mate. Okay, so it's Vincent from Speed Print, and these are site boards. These are printed on Corex boards, same as estate agents use, and they can be attached to fences, gate posts, in the window or on the wall for workmen working on a property. A good strategy would be if you ask the property owner if you can leave them up for a few weeks after you've done the work, assuming they're satisfied with the work. And then this is the great strategy. You have matching flyers made. Matching flyers. And what you do is you leaflet the road that you've done the work in, and people who have walked past the house will actually put two and two together, and they will know that a good bit of work's been done. They'll recognise the board, they'll recognise the flyer, which I can speak properly. Very effective strategy for builders, jet washers, driveways, got it written down here, landscape gardeners, home improvements, solicitors, gate installations, copywriters, electrical plumbing work, health and safety, pest control, drainage, fencing and flooring. So all types of applications. Yeah, that's kind of it really. Yeah, done.
Would people really want a pest control say that?
I got put off being called beautiful. I got put me right off.
Those boards are really useful when you finish with them. Flip them over. They're great for putting under your car and that. They might be doing oil change.
Or on a snowy day going down there.
Vince, would you care to nominate?
I would nominate. Pass the business card box round.
Business card box doesn't have a second.
I've nominated the business card box. James.
Morning all, nice to see you in person for the first time. James from RMK Insurance. I've got 1,000 things I could talk about, not one of them is interesting. So today I'm going to go with Directors and Officers Policy. If you've got a Directors and Officers Policy, it protects you. It only protects you. The new product out there is a management liability product. 10% of the claims that are made on the management liability product will be picked up on the Directors and Officers Policy that most people have got, which means 90% wouldn't. So the Directors and Officers Policy covers you as an individual, so if they come after you as an individual, you're fine mostly. But the management liability covers the company and you. So if you've got accidents at work, contract disputes, employee dishonesty, third-party fraud, the dreaded regulators, the HMRC come knocking at your door for whatever reason. This covers that. It covers investigations for that. So it's not just if you have done something wrong. If you've been alleged that you've done something wrong, this covers proving that you haven't. Hopefully, you've also got employee dismissal. In 2017, I think it was, checking my notes, the tribunal fees were removed. Obviously, instead of paying £1,200, you could do it for nothing. So anybody that leaves the company under a little bit of a dark cloud, immediately it's now free for them to take you to court to try and get money out. Again, even if you haven't done anything wrong, you could still be in trouble. So this would cover the investigation costs and defence costs, and the premium starts £200 upwards. So it's not going from 150 to 1,500. So claims RMK insurance.
Who are you going to nominate?
I think I've closed the show, haven't I?
You have closed the show. So let me, as the Oscar awarder, there were some really, really good ones today. Everyone was kind of 8s and 9s on my list. Really, really good. Colin, yours was excellent. Will, you were going to win it, but it took 120 seconds in the end.
Toby kept saying, speak more.
It's only 180 seconds.
Was it 180 seconds? Okay. And so I am going to award it to Deep Pockets Toby. I thought that was really, really good. Just reviewing.
It's been 2 years since I won the Oscars.
It's because you were talking about your bottom line, that's what it was.
Thank you.
So, what do we do next? Next, we hand across to the meeting secretary, I think, for the meeting secretary's report.
Who's that?
So that is all going to be nicely rounded into an annual meeting secretary's report in an upcoming meeting very soon. There's nothing specific to say today, other than a reminder, but I think looking around the room, pretty much all of you have now voted in the annual member awards. If you haven't, I'd really love you just to take a moment to do it. I think I've spotted 1 or 2 faces who I haven't seen on the list yet. But we've got a very, very high number of votes come in. The rants of the year and the moments of the year are most interesting. They largely all focus on 1 or 2 people, as you can imagine. But I'm not going to give anything away until I announce all of those at that meeting. So with that finished, I think we move across to the Q&A.
Yeah, would you want to do the upcoming speakers?
As soon as you've nominated
Right.
speakers.
Okay, so bit of a change round, slightly order, because it was going to be the annual report next week delivered by Aidan, but probably he's not going to be here, almost certainly, so we'll reschedule that. Today's going to be a Q&A session. It was going to be Tina, but didn't seem fair to with a low number. So Tina's going to be next week, and March 3rd currently, Mike Hickson. March 10th, Melissa, 10 minutes, please. Vince, you're on the end slot for the 10th.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay? March 17th, Terry, 10 minutes slots, please. And yeah, so there might be a slight change because we need to try and fit in the annual report at some time, but maybe we could even push have an annual report and a 10 minutes in one meeting possibly. So anyway, on to the Q&A round, please. So who wants to start?
Vince, go for
yes,
it.
I have a message. Question for Toby. You're saying about don't be afraid to charge what you want to charge.
Yeah.
But in my business, there's a lot of competition. You really do have to price match or price beat to get the work. And my dad always used to say, I'd rather have £10 than not have 20. So sometimes you have to go in a bit lower just to get the work.
But still,
I'd love to be able to charge what I want to charge, but it's just not there.
There's some businesses it doesn't always apply to, but don't just keep undercutting, because otherwise you end up just, where's your margins going? But always still look at what's the value you're bringing. And if somebody wants something quickly, you charge a premium. If somebody wants something quickly, they've got to pay for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are certain businesses it doesn't always apply.
Thank you.
Just to concur with that, if you go, and you did actually pick up on it in private, if you go to certain clients and you underprice yourself, they walk away going, "Well, it's too cheap, it's ridiculous," and they actually will more finance. I find that than any of the bigger companies and things like that. But I'd be careful how you do it. But
I
agree
quoted
with
a
you
big
saying.
company for a large job last week, and she came back to me almost immediately. Says, "I love the price," and I thought, "Oh shit, what have I done?" You know,
Yeah.
but it was a big job, but I could have gone in more. But you just don't know, do you?
It is. Very, very.
Cool.
Sorry.
Question for Alison. So, Alison, I just wondered, what were the sort of main reasons people came to a counsellor? Is it sort of workplace problems or problems at home? What are the number one?
So many different reasons. If I just think about our client base is really, really varied, because we work in schools, we work in corporate companies, and then obviously we've got this police work as well as private clients. So if I'm talking about children and young people, a lot is around anxiety. We also get, we're seeing more and more young people with sexual identity, gender identity, things like with relationship difficulties, like friendships, but actually more sort of like, I don't know if anybody's got young girls, sort of like teenage girls, year 9, 10, we get an awful lot of year 9, 10 girls. And then in our corporate work, it will be just a variety of issues that, might be stuff that might come because of work-related issues, but then when we kind of like really pack everything and strip things back, it's normally stuff that from the past. I was saying to Will earlier that very often we liken it to a cocktail. So like if you have, a cocktail, you have like layers and layers and layers, and it's like the cherry on the top will trigger something, and then that will bring them into therapy. And actually, if we start unpacking everything and we do timeline work to actually see where, what's happened in their life, and it often sort of like stems from other issues. And then with the police work, the most of our referrals have come through because obviously they've gone to very, very traumatic incidents, suicides, RTAs, murders, stabbings, shootings, and they're having flashbacks, nightmares. And then when we're actually unpacking that as well, it will be, I would say probably 90% of the time it's stuff that's happened in the past, which is just they've like suppressed and not been able to move on from.
Can I follow on and ask, how long typically might you need to see?
With the sessions? How many
somebody?
sessions? Okay. So if it's PTSD work, we work up to about 16 weeks. And we recommend that that's really, we do an initial assessment, and then we recommend that that's really on a weekly basis. Counselling doesn't really work on sort of like ad hoc, like I'm going to come this week and then I'm going to come in a month's time. This really should be on a weekly basis. And we try to also do it around the same sort of like day of the week as well, so they kind of like can be really focused that they know that, obviously work commitments and stuff, that's not always possible. I have got clients that, still check in with me like 2 years later, like on a monthly sort of like check-in. Unfortunately, due to funding, something that Toby's kind of like picked up on is that, I think we give really good value for money. But obviously, people will, it's interesting, a lot of private clients, they won't pay a lot of money for their mental health, and they don't prioritise it. So, there's only so much that you can actually charge, so obviously they will look at it, how much will I really want to spend. So we always initially say, okay, an assessment, and then we recommend no less than 6 sessions, and then that normally does extend. School work, they have budgets as well, so it's normally...
Thank you.
Okay.
Toby.
Follow-up question.
I feel like I answered 10 minutes today.
Did you use timeline therapy?
I don't know, because that's NLP.
Yeah.
So I'm NLP trained, but I'm literally what we do is I would say it's intense timeline work. Right. Whereas timeline therapy is you just sit there and you bounce.
Yeah.
You bounce forward if you know. Whereas the work that we do is you actually sit and it's probably more painful, I would say. Yeah.
Follow-up question, what's NLP?
NLP is
Neuro-linguistic programming.
linguistic programming. So it's basically changing your thought patterns so that you've got more positive thinking.
Terry,
Colin, just got one for you. We've done a little bit of work together, I know. When a client has when a business has a problem, at what stage should they be coming to you? I presume you're going to say before the problem. But
they should come to us before they've got a problem. We often say to people, from the company's point of view, after they've had the incident, normally an accident, it's normally too late to save them. We did have a real life event. A client rang me, a potential client rang me and said, "Can you write a risk assessment after the event? After a job's finished?"
Pretty accurate.
And I said, you could, but why would you want to? And they said, we were trying to sort of tease out of them what's happened. Have you had an incident? Yes, we have. What's happened? We've had a fatality. And I said, no, I'll have to stop you there. There's nothing we can do to help you at all. Nothing at all. You've had a fatality. In fact, the guy ultimately went to prison because he'd employed 2 kids to knock down a wall, and one of the kids got squashed. And we just said to him, no. And so, what people need to do is engage way back and make sure that their company is set up with all of the health and safety management system in place, which hopefully, if they do things right, will stop them having incidents in the first place. And if they
set up their business, essentially.
When they set the business up, and as they go along, it depends on the type of work, but if they have work where they do hazardous work, they need to do risk assessments for the jobs as they go along. They need to do that, and hopefully that would then protect them from a prosecution. Hopefully it stopped them having an accident in the first place, because it would teach them how to do the work properly. But as early as possible is the short answer.
Thank you very much. Nick, followed by Melissa.
Actually, it was another one for Colin, just a quick one.
Yeah,
So even for the tiniest job, I get involved with tiny jobs, or taking walls down and the like, and perhaps it's just one builder who comes in and does the business and he's out again within a couple of days. Has he still got to have some paperwork in place to demonstrate that he's doing the job in a safe manner?
Yes. Yes. The law says all work must be covered by a risk assessment. So that doesn't matter whether you're on a till on Tesco, knocking a wall down, cutting the grass, painting a wall, selling a shirt in a shop, whatever you do, all the time, the work has to be covered by a risk assessment. Now, a company like Tesco would have one risk assessment, potentially, for all their tills, because they are all the same. So all those people, the employee doesn't have to do it, the company has to do it. Depending on the type of business, you can have one risk assessment and that could cover all your operations. On a building, that type of builder should do it job by job, because each job is different. The magic number is 5.
But has the house owner got to say to the builder, should I tell the house owner, make sure your builder has got the,
there's no
something in place to cover you and me and himself?
The law doesn't expect the householder, who's a layperson, to know about the construction regulations. So the householder hasn't got to say to the builder, you give me your risk assessment, you give me your construction phase plan, which is what they'll need.
Thank you. Melissa, I'm afraid I think the last question, because we've got just 2 minutes.
It's actually a question for you, Scott. I'm wondering about editable PDFs.
Okay.
Is that something that you can help me with? Or?
I can tell you to call Matt.
Oh, right.
That would be, that's where I normally go with them. We use PDFs a lot, but normally it's nice work that Matt has produced and I put it on a website somewhere. But his team do that for us all the time for different projects.
Sometimes people send me a JPEG and I need to get into the JPEG to get the colours and everything. So I say, can you send it as a PDF, please? So all they do is they take the JPEG and save it as a PDF. which is the same thing. It needs to be editable. You need to be able to, because with a PDF's more powerful than it looks, you can actually get into it and get all the elements out of it, all the colours, the typefaces, everything you need. It's a very powerful thing.
If you use it properly.
Matt's the man.
Okay. Right. So
one
with
last
Q&A...
question. One last question. Why is there one of Anne-Marie's business cards in the box?
Yeah.
Yeah, clear it up. And I think Terry's having a bit of a time. Yeah,
2-3 years ago.
I love taking cards out of the box that are still in there from people that aren't members anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throw the acting rubbish in, let me throw
Okay, so that's the Q&A round finished up. Thank you very much. That was very useful. Let's go round the table and go into our referrals, testimonials round. I think we'll go back to the traditional method where I'll start right here. Start with Paul, and we'll run round the table and hear what you've been up to this week. Referrals, testimonials, one-to-ones, synergy teams, what activities you've been involved with, please.
Okay. Various one-to-one conversations with you and with Matt's team. I've got a one-to-one with Mike shortly after this meeting about the project we're working on together. And got paid for some work that was referred to me by Sarah still. So, busy week. Thanks, Sarah. On to Vincent.
Thank you very much. No, thank you to Scott for continuing work from Gavin Miles, who's just about to put in a very large order again. So I'll do the thank you for the money when I get the money. Thank you.
No one-to-ones or anything this week, but I have got some fantastic business cards, which came from Vince. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did you put them in the box?
I did put them in the box.
Right.
Yes.
You'll be pleased to know I didn't undercharge you for them.
No, and we paid your bill.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Right. And you could have charged so much more. Thank you.
No, he's only done it yesterday. I haven't seen it yet.
Been a wonderful week. It was so nice to see everyone again face to face. I'm working on a few referrals, which hopefully will come to fruition in the next few weeks. See you all next week.
Not sure on this, but Colin, a quick question for you. I need to follow up on it. Do you do fire risk assessments?
Do I?
Do you fire risk assessments?
Yes.
I need to catch up with you.
Excellent.
Been catching up with a couple of others. I've got a meeting with Ben and so yeah, ticking on.
Just to confirm that you do fire risk assessments on commercial buildings?
Yes.
Before the fire takes place.
Before the fire. Yeah. We'll
Can you do anything like that?
No, we'll come and carry out fire risk assessments. Fire risk assessments in buildings, offices, any kind of commercial building, residential buildings.
Nick is coming around to see me later about my structural problems.
Really? Structural problems.
I got a nice referral from Neil regarding some catering for liquidation that we're trying to offload.
Free for one-to-ones if anyone wants, but what I will say while I am here is I took that lucky young lady in there for one of Jane's Valentine's afternoon tea. I will say, if anyone in the rare occasion hasn't had a scone, jam, party cream, whatever she calls it, guys, go down there. She's got her next one as a Diamond Jubilee thing in June. It's a really small room, so if she's got any tables free, that really will affect her bottom line, because there's only about 4 or 5 tables in there. Highly recommend anyone to take it. Some of those foods, like homemade sausage rolls and homemade meringues, literally felt like it had the hand that got touched it. It was heavenly. So I would highly recommend. I know she's not here to take the credit for that, but if you do hear that she does have a table spare and she's just trying to fill it, can't recommend it enough. It's up there with Fortnum and Mason's quality. So yeah, really get on that, guys. Thank you.
Have you written Jane a testimonial?
I shall do.
It's a good easy way to score some points, and I'm sure she'll absolutely love it.
I'm all about scoring points.
Points win prizes.
No, they don't. They want with a free skull.
Thank you.
Thank you, Toby.
Great meeting. Alison, I'd like to have a chat with you because I was talking to somebody just yesterday, day before. It's an IFA who works almost exclusively with retiring police officers, so it could be a possible link up there. He works with a lot of the police federations. James, I'd love to know about that management liability policy. Haven't come across that. I'd also like to know what's going on in the landscape. And I'm probably going to go around and have one-to-ones just about everybody because this new thing that I've got, I want to be connected with. So anybody who works with companies that have employees, which is most of you, and anybody who works with sole traders or businesses that don't have employees, that's just better. And also people who work with individuals, particularly on a coaching therapy basis. So I'll be starting to have some one-to-ones with people I've spoken to before. I've got a one-to-one with Mike lined up. Not you, the other one.
There's 2 other ones.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Great meeting, guys. Something similar, really. I've got to start putting myself around the table again for one-to-ones. Not on the table. Not on the table.
I'll get the fruit out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's see. And also is to explain the new type of business, which is the consultancy. You just got that. Yeah. Consultancy and how I can help you. So, great meeting. Thanks.
I don't know what to say now. I've been very lax in doing the putting stuff on the website, so apologies, Scott. I want to say thank you to Sarah Steele for thank you for the money for some recommendations that she's passed over to me, and also from an ex-member that has passed over some work to me as well, so I want to say thank you to her too, and look forward to speaking to you, Toby, and having a one-to-one with you, Will, but I'm a little bit worried now about this stuff on the table, but don't know what to say.
It's a term of endearment.
Okay. Right. Thank you for the money for some work I've done for Aidan by TM Law. And Melissa, have you got any business cards?
I looked for that as well.
In progress.
I was going to say, I was looking for that too.
And I'll catch up with everybody next week.
You sit down now, Tim.
That's why I haven't.
Just various ongoing bits, really. One-to-one with Paul, as mentioned. Thanks to Paul and Scott for referring me a video job that's going. I think you're both fighting for credit over.
I did actually suggest that just because you got on the system quicker.
Neil, again, ongoing work with you. And I've just closed a little small project for Sarah Steele, who's not here today. And the only other thing I'd add from Nick and Colin, your conversation earlier, through tree surgery, we quite often do sort of 2 to 3 different jobs a day, and we'll do a site-specific risk assessment for every one of those, so we'll regularly fill out 3 in a day. But they are just quite short and brief, so it is a thing. And we have had HSA turn up on site and say, where are their shirts?
That's because you're a pro.
Well, it's obviously because we don't look like pros and they turn up and question us.
I've got a few things going on. Paul and I are working on a blog, and that's an ongoing project throughout the year because it's important, I think, to Scott and Agnew regularly to keep that website having fresh content there. So thank you both for that. Tim, you're looking after things on the way for a week coming up soon, which is nice. Relax and let Tim out to the phone and tell people to stop off. You don't do that, do you?
No, I don't.
And Nick, I've got something. I won't put in a referral yet, but it's one of my neighbours I mentioned. We need some work, third party. I won't put it into referral to her. And then you can come down and tell her my award's falling down because the next one I just dug under it.
Oh, I do tell people to sod off when they're like a sales. If they're sales calls.
Can I withdraw that referral?
If they're sales calls like, oh, you've been in an accident, it's politely, no, get lost.
It's actually making them though, isn't it?
I'm putting a referral to Ryan for some electrical work for a friend. Put in thank you money for Terry Kelvin, thank you for that, and also Richard Reid. Good meeting.
I've received some monies from a couple of ex-members and also for some bits for EBF. So it's been not too bad of it for me this week. with that, we've gone around the table. We didn't do any of the actual paper forms this week, but we're really out of habit. But there has been content going through on the virtual forms, which is great. Just a point to note ahead of the big review, there are one or two members who it doesn't look like have ever completed anything on any of the virtual forms. Either that, or they've never given or received anything in their EVF membership. So if you haven't logged in, you don't know what the virtual forms are, and you're just not sure about it, please do ask. I'm very happy. I could say to hang on at the end of the Zoom and I'll show you, but I could fire up a laptop any week and just demonstrate how it works, how easy it is. And similarly, if anyone has any problems using it and they try and do something, it says an error has occurred or there's an issue, like has happened with the awards during the week, don't just sit on that. Please let me know so that we can work and try and fix whatever that problem is, because we need to just get these bits recorded and make the systems work.
Yeah, on that note, it was the phone. It wasn't working on the phone, doing that
and
nominations.
A curious one.
But on the laptop, it was fine.
Yeah, we'll get a decent tech guy on it.
Yeah, it doesn't work. And so with that part of the meeting finished, I think it's right that we hand across back to the room if anyone has any announcements, reminders or special reports that they wish to make.
I have a question. Would you like some opinions on a business name and what people think of the business name Mad Brit Consulting? Is it dangerous to use the word mad?
Yeah.
That's sort of the conclusion I've reached.
Consulting's a bit dodgy as well.
I thought the Brit part was horrible. I have no problem with the man.
No, it's my grandsons are Maddox and Britain and wanted to use that, but I think that's sort of what the conclusion I reached in my mind. So
Maddox Consulting's quite good.
Yeah, that's only one of them. The other one will get pissed off.
One thing you have to be careful is, and Brit might be alright, but certain words such as Britain and British are protected.
Okay.
So if you try to form a company with
the English Green Tea Company.
It's like what
Jane's story.
You fail. You have to try and get around it somehow. Either by changing names.
When we were looking for our name, which was 1999, I think it was.
That's a funny name.
Yeah. Our kind of rules were something easy to remember, something easy to spell.
Yeah.
We've had people that can't spell blue.
There's a hotel chain that can't spell it.
Yeah. We've had people that can't spell planets. We get called plants, all sorts of things. But we it was easy to remember, easy to spell, lend itself to a logo, which we used to have a Blue Planet logo. And we looked at Company's House, what was available, and then the domain names, and trying to get that balanced up took quite a long time.
What's your company called?
No, thanks for that. It's sort of confirmed discussions we've had at home. So I think it's going to be pole position consulting.
Off the back of that, don't ever do something as silly as make up a word like SEO that you have to spell 6 or 7 times a day. Don't do that.
And your number plate as well, SEO as well. So you can't really change it.
I've got to change it now. The brand has worked very well over the last 10 years, and it's too established that it works. But it's a stupid name. It is what it is. I'd like to take a moment and thank everybody for their activity yesterday on the buying the days of the year. That was great. We've sold more than 50 days, I think.
Outdate that.
It's an out-of-date diary, but it does still have
Paid all that money for an out-of-date diary.
the same number of days in the year.
So there's an extra day if it's 2020 because that was a leap year.
An extra pound.
If you like.
Yeah. Can I have 29th February?
Yeah, if you like. So thank you very much for that. If I need to collect pound coins from anybody, there is a little tub here and it's all about float. Very happy to.
Didn't know what any of that was about.
So let me explain. So my daughter is heading off to South Korea next year for the World Scout Jamboree, for which she has to raise £3,800. Most of that money goes towards helping the poorer nations send their delegates out there. So we're starting her fundraising campaign. She's selling days of the year for £1. Once the calendar is full and all those 366 days are sold, one will be selected at random, the winner will get £100, and the rest will go towards her fundraising. So we've sold 50 odd days. If anyone would like to buy a day or more,
I'll see you
see
off.
me and we'll release it into the.
I was going to ask actually, is it okay to put something about that on LinkedIn without specifically naming any names? I just thought it was a great idea. Or have you got a post on LinkedIn I could share or something like that?
Hold fire on that. I will suggest that to Emma.
Yeah.
We've got a whole year to do this, but it's going pretty fast at the moment, so we'll work on it. That's a great idea. If we're going to do that, feels to me like she needs a PayPal account that people can send their pounds to rather than publishing a bank account. But that's a great idea. Thank you. Cool. Come see me afterwards to buy any days if you like. With that, I think we have reached the end of the meeting, but we are quite ahead of time.